Good evening. 9:36, late by 36 minutes. Pretty impressive. Didn't expect that. I said I was going to have dinner. I said I wasn't going to pause. Wasn't going to rush my food. We were having a great meal, and I was like, I'm just not going to bend to the will of the algorithm tonight. I mean, after all, it's not exactly helping me. So I'm going to have my dinner. I want to talk to everyone. I want to have a good time. But I also want to eat. How are you tonight? It's a fascinating day for me. We had, the day just happened. It felt like it was going to happen with or without me, you know? I don't know if you feel that way, but I just wonder sometimes. So, if you're an agent right now, real estate agent right now, if you're like me, you're looking out there and you're watching strange things. And let me give you an example. I had a house that was in, I'll say, South County, and my buyers were interested in it. It was priced almost $60,000 over what it should have been, and I knew that. And the house had sat for 30 days. I ran some comps just to show my buyers. By the time, and I told the agent, I said we might be interested in it, but I mean we'll have to see. By the time we decided not to write an offer, they had accepted another offer on the property, which is odd because again the house was not great. And then now the house is back on the market a week later. I don't even know that they got through inspections, and this is something that I've seen with my own listings. Not that I've price things too high. It's just the deals are falling apart. Well, why would that be? Well, 3 weeks ago, we were at just under 6% for one day for the 30-year fix. Today, we're at 6.78%, and that thing is just going up and up and up. This will put a chill on the market, no question. But again, we have this weird thing where people need houses. And so it's like the inventory is not great. We're going to go over a lot of that stuff tonight, but I just wanted to start my show with the understanding that the market is kind of wild right now. Not hot, not great, wild. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is John Schenk. I'm the founder and managing broker of Deerwood Realty in St. Louis, Missouri. We're a small residential real estate firm. I focus mostly, I say I because I'm the only one here right now. I'm focusing mostly on helping buyers buy homes and sellers selling theirs. At night, I do the Deerwood Realty live stream. It's something that I started, 2 years ago now. And I started it as a way to just kind of process all the things that I see, all the information coming at me in the real estate world, but then also some of the pop culture world. I found some of this stuff fascinating. I also like to show my ignorance, believe it or not. Some people are all-knowing. Especially in real estate, you get these people that are just, these agents, they know everything, and they're just so brilliant, and and I'm not. I don't know everything. I'll never know everything, and I'm okay with that. And I think that false sense of security with other agents is stupid. And I just don't want to have anything to do with it. So the Deerwood Realty live stream is basically, do we have guests? Do we have guests now? No. Why not? Well, I don't have a lot of followers. I'm up to 143 though. You may say, John, you mean to tell me that you've been broadcasting for 2 years and you have only 143 subscribers? Yes. Why is that? Well, not everybody gets my humor. Not everybody really wants to sit and listen to a live stream or watch a live stream, or we do have the podcast version. I think real estate's one of those things where people, it's just, I'll just go over an example with my own thing. So as you know, my computer has died. I talk about it every night. But, in the death, as it happened, that whole, weekend I had free of a computer, I started researching computers on YouTube. Now you say, well, that's silly. You could get biased information, everything. I don't care. I'm fully aware that I could get biased information. That's fine. I just want to get as much information I can to see, what I want to build and how I want it to look and all this stuff, and what parts I wanted to make. I was talking to I have a real good friend that knows the tech much better than I do, and we're talking back and forth today, and I was like, 10 years ago they didn't have the M2 drives. Like that wasn't a thing. It didn't exist. If we could have even gotten an SSD drive, it would have been like a maybe 300 gigabyte SSD drive. I mean, it would have been just like amazing. Like the idea that you didn't have a disk in there spinning around, a read write disk. Wow. And it's just changed. And so in doing my research for the computer parts I was going to buy, I wanted to, get myself caught up. So this has been 10 years and I had a lot to do. I don't think it's any different if you're buying or selling a house. I mean, if you're not buying a house tomorrow, what do you care about what the market's doing, right? You don't. So, you get stuck in the spot where you're going to be, if you found me because you were looking for, real estate news that's like current and like, what is the current situation? But, 6 months from now, you're not watching my video about what the market did what difference does it make? Especially if you bought a house. It's kind of over. I had a guy that bought a house, I don't think he follows me anymore, but he bought a house like the week of, watched my videos. We were good. He's my best chat buddy, and now he's gone. Never coming back, I guess. But such is the nature of it. We'll build a community. It'll work out. But slow going here on the YouTubes. Now, if you want, I don't know. I mean, I hit the wrong button there. If you have to watch the Deerwood Realty live stream on YouTube, okay, it's available other places. It's available. There I go. It's a friend's website. That's at www.Deerwood Realty and Friends. Yeah, good. .com. It's available on Rumble. It's available on Facebook. It's available on Twitter. And I don't care where you watch it. And I mean, I'm good with everything. I just feel like there's every chance I have of getting kicked off of YouTube for something stupid. I don't even know what I did. It's verboten. But I will be other places. So that was an introduction. That was a 7-minute long introduction. Tonight, we're going to focus on a few things. Had some articles come up that I thought were kind of interesting, and I want to talk about them. One related to the homeless and the word hordes. Now, like hordes comes to me, and this is not a criticism per se. Horde reminds me of like a locusts. This is a biblical. I know the first article. Not happy. I'm on the background. About credit viral. That's not good. It doesn't seem like that'd be good for homeland. We're going to talk about some stuff on Twitter. Some really good economic stuff. Then we have a couple articles. I don't know if I'm going to get through the one. It's about a bunch of people that have bought homes during the pandemic, and they have a significant amount of regret. We might try that one first, and then we have a silly article: how to save money when buying a home, and all cash purchases being up or down. But I wanted to start off with me and my situation. I want you to know kind of how I'm thinking, so that I don't know how to say it. Oh gosh, I just had a major computer bad situation here. Let me see if I can get it fixed. Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh no. Super bad situation. See if I can fix it. Oh man. Oh, that's my hand. Oh man, this is bad. This is like the one thing I like to do, and it's not going to work tonight, is it? Oh my God. Okay, fine. And it says my internet is terrible. Oh, you know what? My internet is terrible because I don't have an internet thing plugged in. Do I even have? It says my Wi-Fi is terrible, but I can't plug anything in. I don't have an Ethernet thing. I never even noticed that until now. Oh man, how am I going to fix this? I got one problem here. I don't like to see the counter for who's on my stream because I get self-conscious and I start talking differently. So I'm going to try and fix this on the fly. And you may say, like, John, this is not really the best show prep. Well, I didn't know it was going to stop working tonight. I really didn't. I'm really not comfortable with this. Let me see if I can just get it to stay here. Okay. And the problem is my screen for my laptop is a touch screen. There, we're better. So if I press it, then it opens up the screen and does all this stuff. So for the last 4 minutes, I apologize. The joys of doing things live. Let's go over some invitations. First of all, if you like something, put it in the chat, put it in the comment section. If you like the video, hit the save button, the like button. If you don't like the video, I've had people not like videos. It's okay. I'm a big boy. I think I can handle it now. Sometimes I don't like the videos I do. That's okay. And then, think about subscribing because, just in my own YouTube viewing, I'll see a video and I'll be like, well, that guy's kind of interesting. And then I won't ever see another video from him again because the algorithm didn't recommend it. And I didn't hit subscribe. So I never see the person again. And I would hate for that to happen with you because, you should just hit subscribe. Now, that's what I'm thinking. I don't know if that's what you're doing. So let's go over the computer. Well, let's do the computer first, okay? Because I want to forget the next topic. But got in a really weird situation. As you know, I decided to buy a computer. The case is on back order, okay? And today I thought, hey, maybe I'll just cancel the back ordered case. And it's the Lee 216 case, just in case you're curious of what case I'm getting. And I said, no, let me check and see if they know if I went to B&H. And I was like, do you know when this might be coming in? And they said, our system says that it should be coming in the first week of March, which is tough. It's 2 weeks away. It's hard for me to wait 2 weeks. I've got thousands of dollars worth of computer parts sitting around my basement in my living room, and I can't put together my computer because I don't have a case. So that's frustrating, and I'm not complaining so much. But so then I went and did some looking around. I said I can buy another Lee & case. It's no big deal. But it turns out that the case that I bought, the fans, I bought specific fans for this case, and if I were to get different fans, that would be bad. I know it sounds crazy, but I probably got $100 in fans. And so I don't want to get a different case. I want the case for the fans. So I'm going to wait 2 weeks. Now, look, what does that mean? Well, it means we're on the laptop. It means every day I'm just adding gigabytes of information to my laptop that was never designed for it. Will it blow up in the meantime? I don't know. I hope not. I'm trying to not have that happen. But I do understand that it could. So let me know in the chat or in the comments what you think. Should I have bailed? I can't return the fans. There's nothing wrong with them. I didn't open them, but by the time I shipped them back and got different fans, it seems like that's a mistake. It seems like what I'm doing is the right thing, but man, to sit here and wait. I love what I'm messing around with these computers, and this is just killing me. So let me know in the chat. Let me know in the comment sections. I have everything set up so that I can see you. If you're on Facebook, Twitter, or if you're on Facebook, YouTube, or the website. I don't have Twitter. You can't comment on Twitter to my feed, but you can go to it and it'll link straight to it, and then you can. That being said, let's talk about the next thing. Now, you guys know, if you watch the show with any sort of regularity, I don't want you to feel sorry for me in any way, okay? But I've had a run of just bad luck since about Thanksgiving, and it just doesn't stop. Sewer lateral, computer, refrigerator, car, major expenses all at once. And so today is a moment of joy for our family. I haven't had, by the way, real quick, the production value of the show will go up. This I guarantee you. I have my board, but I can't use my board with my laptop right now as far as like all the special effects. I can't do it now, but it's coming. And as far as like, there will be new shorts, there will be new long form videos. It is all coming. I just don't have it yet. So that is why the waiting until March is kind of hurtful. Plus I need to do some other things that I need kind of some decent computing power for. So anyway, today was the day that the refrigerator got fixed. We got a new compressor put in at around 2 o'clock this afternoon. It didn't cool down right away. The refrigerator started cooling down, but the freezer hadn't. So I was starting to get really upset. But it finally cooled down to 0. And so we now have a freezer. We haven't had ice in 2.5 weeks. We haven't had filtered water, which usually I say, well, you don't need filtered water. And we've been doing fine without it. But I was starting to get off of soda finally. Cause I'm trying, like you'll see in my videos, I'm the heaviest I've ever been. And I'm just trying to cut down on, sugary drinks and everything. And I had done it. I had broken through. And then when I lost the refrigerator and I didn't have any way to have, I just make a cold water with some ice. I didn't have any way to make ice. It was bad. And so like that looks like it's going to hold. It looks like I'm going to have a refrigerator and freezer. And we've gone through this. I mean, it's been a dilemma. And today I even came up with a different solution. It's like buy 2 cheap ones. Like, let's just say they're 20 cubic feet each. You buy 2 cheap ones, you still pay less than what one side-by-side 20 cubic feet is. You can buy 2 of them for the same price. You'd be at $1,400. You'd be less than what you can buy a side-by-side for. And definitely less than what you could buy a French one for. So I think next time we buy one, we're just going to buy we're literally going to buy 2 freezers, 2 refrigerator on the bottom, freezer on the top. One of them even has the one from LG even, and I know you say, well, LG suck. I get that. But they say, one of them even has water. I mean, it'd be perfect. And honestly, if this repair doesn't hold for the next year or 2, I'm getting a new setup. Just all there is to it. But anyway, be happy for me. Something good happened. I got something fixed. It's done. I don't have to deal with it anymore. Let's go over to the first setup here. I wanted to go over the interest rates with you. I'm going to do it this way. We know that it screws up the process for when I do this, but here we go. This is Deerwood Realty. And I just want you to see the interest rates. 6.78%, up 3 basis points from 6.75% yesterday. Look, if it gets to 7, the market's done. I mean, it was starting to come back, but to me, that's when it's over. So keep that in mind. We do watch that. For me, I watch it from more of a sense, like it's very strange. Do I watch it in terms of affordability? No. Affordability is a big component of why people aren't buying houses, but it's not the only component, or why they shouldn't buy houses. If you kind of take the median income in the United States and then kind of overlay that with the housing affordability, what a mortgage would cost on a regular price, on a median price home, and you see the spread, it kind of tells you when you can buy a house for pretty decent. And you may say, well, John, that was brilliant information. Why didn't you tell me that before? Well, I didn't know you wanted to know it. And I don't know how to do the data myself. So. But maybe I should. The problem is with those types of charts, you're looking for something that happens once every 10 years. I'm 45 years old. The next time it happens is probably when I'm 55 years old. That's tough. And plus it's kind of a number in hindsight because, the market's totally different today than it was, in June. Anyway, I don't know why I was telling you that. I just lost my train of thought. And now I'm reaching for the mouse that isn't in the right spot. Let me look at my notes. Yes. So for it, oh, by the way, here's another fun thing. You know, I've been sick for the last week, with an upper respiratory issue, sore throat. One of the meds I'm taking, doxycycline, is causing me to have terrible hiccups. So last night I hiccuped for 2 hours before I went to bed. Could fall asleep. It could happen during the show, and sometimes it comes across as a yip. Look, we're going to deal with it. So I apologize in advance if you hear me yip. I'm fine. I'm not having a heart attack or anything. It's just a yip. A yip. So let's continue here. We're going to go back to putting this on the screen, but we're going to go to our first article. And oddly enough, let me preface the article. Let me go back. That doesn't look good. Okay. I don't even know how to fix that. Okay. I want you to understand, I love people. I love humanity. Okay. I really do. At the end of the day, I find I believe that we hurt so many people and it's bad. Okay. And I believe that government forces are those who do the most harm to the most amount of people. I do not think the government's your friend. I don't think any government's your friend around the world. Okay. I don't look at things from what I would say. I don't look at it from a religious point of view. I just don't like suffering, and I don't like it amongst anyone. I also don't like triviality of life in the sense that I just think that you are more than a clump of cells. And so I feel like it's my responsibility to always be looking at policies that help the most amount of people. And I mean real benefits. There's a disagreement in benefits to the people. I'll give you one example, rent controls. I'm strongly opposed to rent controls. I think it's the worst thing you can do. If you can look at economics, and if you artificially set the price of something, it causes all kinds of weird signals to the marketplace, and it just causes all kinds of issues. So I'm against rent controls. That being said, you go to this. Watch. I'll take you down this path just as a real estate agent. Okay. So you're against rent controls. Yes. Well, what about people who can't afford rent and they're allowed to be placed in one of these places? Well, they shouldn't have been in there. You say, well, these places are unclean and dirty and terrible. Yes. And that's because of rent controls. You say, no, that's because of the free market capitalism. You're exploiting people. No. There's a level of crony capitalism that I don't think many people understand. I think when they want to throw out the whole capitalist system, they're going to say it's crony capitalism. They're actually really wanting to throw out crony capitalism, which is what I want to do. Crony capitalism is, you pay the city council off to put forth zoning codes that only the wealthy landlords can afford to do. If you want to take, now, I'm not for short-term rentals either. I think it destroys the fabric of communities. But if you want to look and see what happened in Philadelphia, you can see crony capitalism. Hotels and different aligned groups said, we're not going to have short-term rentals unless you pay a fee, unless you're accepted in our zoning. And I get, but I'm just using it as an example to say, look, if you had a free market in rents, okay, and all else being equal, you would have great housing choices for everyone. My situation right now with housing is not affordable. That is, the median income to the median house price is out of whack. Okay, that doesn't mean I'm for affordable housing, which is an artificial price imposed on a home to meet some sort of weird parameters that the government sets forth as what is affordable. It's basically green mail, Okay. So I don't want you to be confused with that. But there are things in my life that I believe about what I would call the dignity of the human. The dignity of the human. Now, are we dignified creatures? No. But it doesn't mean I don't want to strive for that. As an example, we don't fling our poo, right? We're not apes, right? Now, do some people stoop that low? Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the worst of the worst. But I find that even as you see the pictures out of Los Angeles, okay, and the homeless, okay, those people have some value. Those people have some worth. Those people have a situation where the government has failed them, okay? And I believe that, all right? And we can disagree on how the government failed them. Currently, the government says that you've got every right to sit and crap on the sidewalk. That doesn't seem like the right policy for a good community, but whatever. And so when I talk about the homeless, it's from a perspective of heart. Like my heart hurts for these people. And you can say, well, they're drug addicts and all this. Yes, some of them are. Some of them are bad people. They've done bad things. They're dirty. All this, fine. I don't want you. I'm not trying to pick on the homeless. They deserve dignity. But it's gone too far in the United States. This homeless situation has gone way out of whack. I just can't believe how bad it's gotten. And it's even in St. Louis. I mean, every street corner now we're panhandling, and it's just crazy. It destroys neighborhoods. People want to get away from this. And so oh my gosh. Now I messed that up. Let me go to this article. So I already told you. All right. We'll get this fixed. Oh, okay. Here we go. Okay, so I already told you I don't agree with I just read it. I've seen this information. Don't care. That says hordes of harming Chicago. I don't know if hordes are. Okay, I'm sorry. I got to do. But if it is, come on. So this was written by an Eric Lindrum of February 16th, 2023. So this morning. In recent weeks, the O'Hare International Airport in Chicago has transformed into a third world nightmare that some have outright described as dystopian due to the flood of homeless people moving onto the airport grounds. As reported by Breitbart, homeless encampments have sprung up and have been growing in the airport's terminal areas for more flights depart and leave. As a result, concerns have arisen regarding the safety of travelers who now must navigate the homeless population on their way to and from their flights. Now, I suspect that the most virulent of homeless, advocate would say, you should see how miserable these people are all the time. This is perfect. This way you'll know that we need to help the homeless. And to me, this is wrong. This is not helping the homeless. This is causing them to be an ornament, dressing on a tree, figureheads, not humans. Multiple concerned travelers have shared pictures of the damage online, including hallways lined with trash and other poor conditions as a result of the homeless encroachment. Now, to be fair, I was in St. Louis's Lambert Airport, headed to Europe, Western Europe, the Balkans. Let's just get it out there. We all know my situation, and I'll tell you, the bathrooms were absolutely terrible. But you know what? I was in Slovenia, landed in Slovenia, went to the bathroom. There was water from a toilet, a urinal that had overflowed. It was all over the floor. And that was in Slovenia. So I mean, I think people's expectations about airports are correct, that they should be nice places to go. However, it's not the reality that I've seen. In response, airport authorities tweeted that they appreciate the feedback and would continue to prioritize the safety and security of travelers. Well, that's not true. They're not going to prioritize the safety and security of everyone. That's a blanket statement that means nothing. Employees at the airport have voiced about the homeless possibly being violent due to mental health issues. However, attempts to call the police have yielded no results, as the Chicago Police Department has told them that such vagrants can only be removed if they assault someone first. Now, this is the part that makes me uncomfortable, is to me, like anything someone does in public that is inappropriate should be a arrestable offense, or at least a chargeable offense. So what would that be? Well, public intoxication, I would think, used to be a problem. Now I guess it's not. How about to me, how can you set up a tent in an airport and this is somehow going to be okay? I mean, think about how much security you have to go to just get on a plane, and now we're just going to have these people laying outside in tents. Jessica Dubauer, an activist with a homeless support group, tried to justify the migrants moving into the airport due to the city's homeless shelters being full. It says a lot of folks don't end up at the airport because that's their goal. That is the last option they have, said Dubauer, a spokesman for the Haymarket Center. Our January at O'Hare was one of the busiest Januaries we've ever had. We're seeing more individuals and more encounters who are new to our system. Like, what in the world? Like, these homeless groups are saying, hey, why don't you go hang out at the airport? There's nothing they can do to you. In response to the crisis, the Chicago Department of Aviation released a statement claiming that the spike in vagrants in the airport is a common occurrence at this airport and airports nationwide. And they're free. I don't want to put on host programs, but it's not a money issue. It's an acceptance issue. These people are used as tools to promote a greater narrative. I think it's disgusting. It says Department of Family and Support Services and their delegate agencies continue to provide 24/7 outreach to unsheltered residents at O'Hare. Outreach professionals engage with individuals experiencing homelessness at O'Hare and conduct needs assessment. Looks, I'm not really like interested in that. Let me try to explain it to you this way. Look, if you're sitting out there and you think it's a good idea to put your tent up and lay around at O'Hare Airport, okay, you don't really need a needs assessment right there. We need to get you off the street. And you say, well, there's no place we can take them. There's no beds. There's no nothing. Well, okay, fine. But what is your needs assessment going to do? It's nothing. You're going to leave them there too. So, The broader homeless crisis in Chicago has gotten exponentially worse over the last few years. The number of homeless people reported in the city the last year was approximately 65,000, up dramatically from just 5,390 in 2020. I was up there in Chicago in 5,000 in 2020, I think, downtown Chicago, and it was pretty bad. The homeless issue has played a major role in Chicago's upcoming mayoral race, where incumbent Democrat Lori Lightfoot is facing numerous challengers, while her poll numbers plummet due to her poor handling of homelessness, crime, and other issues. She's a horrible mayor. Okay. But she was voted in by the people. This is what the people want. It's not for us to decide who the mayor should be. They've decided. They like this. They're proud of their mayor. And this is what they get. I don't know. I mean, I feel terrible for these people, the homeless. I feel terrible. I wish people would, I don't know how to say it, look at this and just understand that these are people, and that, in my opinion, the people that are trying to help them may not be doing the best work for them, which is sad. Very sad. So, I don't know. Can you guys believe? Like, let me just ask you, right? It's just between you and me. Do you really think that it's okay? Do you really think that it's okay for people that are homeless to sleep? Let me ask you this: on sidewalks? Do you think it's okay for people that are homeless to sleep in tents in an airport, a bus station, a train station? What about children's playgrounds? What about the parking lots of suburbia? Where is it okay to be homeless? And then, do you think that the government has a responsibility to provide a clean bed and living conditions for those people who are homeless that decide they don't want to try to get off their feet? Like they're just good with being homeless? I mean, this is a complicated problem, but I feel like it may be a problem, but it's maybe a bigger problem for us as we accept this. Like, this should be unacceptable. It should be, but I mean, watch. It's the same thing with me. I know this is a little bit. I don't know if you watch. Kenny Wallace used to be a race car driver. Used to be in NASCAR. He's from St. Louis. He came back. Pretty proud of him for coming back. But he was at an airport in Colorado on like last weekend, and he took a picture of a guy that was laying on the chairs in the waiting area, and he had his bare feet, and he was putting his feet all over the chairs and stuff. Like I myself find the act of taking off my shoes and walking in my socks through the security line to be one of the most humiliating and disgusting things possible. If you think of the millions of people that do that because of one asshat, how many years ago? I mean, it's ridiculous. The whole thing is like performative. You know, the security system there, the security is performative by far. I mean, it's just disgusting. But anyway, let me know what you think. Am I way off base? I want you to understand, I don't despise the homeless, okay? I despise people using them as tools to further their own aspirations. They use them as shields. And I think it's wrong. There. Let me do this now here. I should have done it differently. This is going to get me in trouble. I can already. All right. I wanted to get to this article. We're actually in 20 years to a record 16.9 trillion repay. This is on Zero Hedge, and this is where I personally think that the problem will show itself. And the reason why is I remember in 2007 they changed the bankruptcy rules to somehow you couldn't write off the credit card debt as easily as you could have in the past. And that was during George Bush. Don't kid yourself. I don't think I'm a Republican, and I don't think I'm a Democrat. But it was during George Bush. And so it was much harder to, and so I really feel like that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. Couldn't dissolve your debt in bankruptcy. That wasn't good. Now look, I'm not a lawyer. I don't remember if it was chapter 13 or chapter 7. But if you can't get rid of your debt, you've got serious problems. So it says, and I think that this is going to be what does it again. I think the debt spiral, the consumer debt is, people like, just look at your average automobile. The average automobile costs $45,000, I believe, for a new car. Things are getting ridiculous. Well, it won't tell us anything we don't know, since it's 2 months delayed, and we already get monthly updates from the Fed via the G19 statement. This morning, the New York Fed published its quarterly household debt and credit report, which showed that the household debt in the fourth quarter of 2022 rose by 2.4%, or $394 billion. The largest nominal quarterly increase in 20 years to a record 16.9 trillion. Balances now stand at 2.75 trillion, higher than at the end of 2019 before the pandemic recession. It's probably not good. They've got the total debt by age. They've got the total debt by what it is. Look at this. Mortgage debt is just massive. Auto loans to me are huge, but it doesn't look that bad. Student loans are huge, but it doesn't look that bad compared to mortgages. And then credit card debt doesn't look that bad, but it's terrible. And this is the total debt balance by age. You've got all these people, but these people here are getting soaked. 40 to 49. I'm 45 or 46. I don't remember. And I don't care. But I'm in this group here, and we're getting smacked. If you're 70 plus, you're looking pretty good. 60 to 69, looking pretty good. The 50 people, getting dicey. So of every type of consumer credit increase in Q4, and here's a detailed breakdown. Mortgage balances rose by $254 billion in the fourth quarter and stood at $11.92 trillion at the end of December, marking a nearly $1 trillion increase in the mortgage balances of 2022. Home equity lines of credit rose by $14 billion to $340 billion. Student loan balances now stand at $1.6 trillion, up by $2.1 billion. Up by $21 billion from the previous quarter. In total, non-housing balances grew by $126 billion. Auto loan balances increased by $28 billion in the fourth quarter, consistent with the upward trajectory seen since 2011. And credit card balances increased $61 billion in the fourth quarter to $986 billion, surpassing the pre-pandemic high of $927 billion. Credit card balances grew robustly in the fourth quarter, while mortgage and auto loan balances grew at a more moderate pace, reflecting activity consistent with pre-pandemic levels. Now look, that's not good. It says on the other end, mortgage originations, which include refinances, fell to $498 billion in the fourth quarter as a result of soaring rates. That's right. I mean, once the rates were going to 7, people stopped trying to buy. Yet despite high auto loan rates, the volume of newly originated loans was $186 billion, representing a slight increase from the previous quarter. This is something for the Fed to look into, as it clearly shows there is a breakdown in the tighter credit channel, which is only impacting housing and not purchases of other debt-funded goods. And this is a very good point. People are not buying houses because they cannot get credit. But they can get credit for cars. Because you can get credit for cars doesn't mean you should get credit for cars. And that's the problem. Automakers found themselves in a terrible situation. I mean, during the pandemic, they couldn't get their supply chains in order. They couldn't produce cars, yet everybody wanted to buy cars because they were being given government stimulus money, stimmy money. And your stimmy checks were allowing you to buy stuff that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to buy at a rate that was ridiculously low, except there was no product, especially for autos. And so these guys did the smart thing. They're like, well, fine, we'll just charge more. And it worked. And now it's not going down. And that's a problem. Aggregate limits on credit card accounts increased by $88 billion in the fourth quarter, now stand at $4.4 trillion, just to make sure the debt service can always access money they don't have and to repay at a record high APR. I mean, that's just right. I mean, as your borrower rating of borrowing goes up, those credit card rates go up too. I was at the credit union this week, and they were like, hey, have you thought about getting an IRA or a money market account, putting your money in a money market account? We're paying 5%. I'm like, wow. You mean no risk and you're paying 5%? No risk. It's pretty impressive. It says separately as a result of the surge of the interest rates, the share of current debt becoming delinquent increased again in the fourth quarter for nearly all debt types following 2 years of historically low delinquency transitions. And this is a problem. Okay, so here's all your different types of debt. And now all of a sudden your delinquencies are just shooting up. Especially in credit card and auto loans. Mortgage loans considered to be in serious delinquency of 90 days or more rose to a rate of 0.57, but still low but nearly double where they were from a year prior. Auto loan delinquencies rose 0.6 percentage points to 2.2%, while credit card debt jumped 0.8 percentage points to 4%. The delinquency transition rate for credit cards and auto loans increased by 0.6 and 0.4 percentage points, respectively. It says, although historically low unemployment has kept consumers' financing footing generally strong, stubbornly high prices and climbing interest rates may be testing some borrowers' ability to repay their debts. My assessment is not the same. My assessment is that the unemployment rate is absolutely a joke. And you have to separate out between full-time employment and part-time employment. And when you do, you'll see that people are losing their full-time jobs and they're getting multiple part-time jobs. Now, this is an economic failure. Don't kid yourself. What's happening is in the labor market, you can't afford to have an employee work a full-time gig because you can't afford to pay them and still make any sort of decent money in many industries. I'm not saying all industries, but you can't afford the people. And so you put them on part-time, and that way you get to not have to pay into some of the ridiculous fees associated with having an employee. That's a problem, and that's something that could be fixed by the government tomorrow if they wanted to, but they don't. The New York Fed also issued an accompanying Liberty Street Economics blog post examining credit card and auto loan delinquency with a focus on borrowers by age. While delinquency transition rates appear relatively small, a closer look at the uptick reveals some sign of stress amongst younger borrowers who are beginning to miss some credit card and auto loan payments. Indeed, as shown in the chart below, where the New York Fed focuses from balances to borrowers by measuring the percentage of borrowers that transition into late delinquency during the quarter, credit card delinquencies are becoming a major issue for young people. The numerator is the number of borrowers who became 90 plus days past due, and the denominator is the number of borrowers who are less than 90 days past due in the previous quarter. Specifically, credit card borrowers are missing their payments and transitioning to 90-day delinquency at a rate higher than they had before the pandemic. These rates are higher than the balance weighted runs shown in the quarterly report because low balance borrowers are generally more likely to become delinquent. Well, that's not good. I'm sorry, I was just checking to see if anybody was with me. It says this chart disaggregates these rates by age, and we see that this is particularly true for younger borrowers who have surpassed their pre-pandemic rents, while for older borrowers, the rates are rising but have not yet reached their pre-pandemic levels. But you can see they're all going up for their delinquencies. The next chart shows the same calculation, but for auto loans. We see that there's a similar trend, although auto loan performance at the personal level remains slightly healthier than it had just before the pandemic for most age group, but younger borrowers are struggling relatively more. So here you have it. This chart goes up and down, right? I mean, this is from 2003. We had these issues in 2008, but it's been pretty strong. And you have to ask yourself, if it's easier to get an auto loan, why do they not go into default at a different rate than how difficult it is to get a current mortgage, like a 30-year fixed? Is it just because it's more money borrowed? I don't really know. The quarterly report includes a summary of key takeaways and their supporting data points. Overarching trends from the report's summary include this: housing debt. There was $498 million in newly originated mortgage debt in Q4 2022. After 2 years of historically high volumes of mortgage originations, the Q4 volume more closely resembles pre-pandemic levels. Although the foreclosure moratorium have been lifted nationally, new foreclosures have stayed relatively low since the CARES Act moratorium was put into place. About 34,000 individuals had new foreclosure notations on their credit reports. On student loans, outstanding student loan debt stood at $1.60 trillion in Q4 of 2022. Less than 1% of aggregate student debt was 90 plus days delinquent or in default in Q2. The sharp drop in the student debt delinquency reflects the beginning of the Fresh Start program, which marked over 34 billion defaulted loans as current amid the continued repayment pause on student loans. And here's why the U.S. consumer is so strong. When you don't have to worry about repaying your student loan debt, well, you spend that money on other useless stuff. And look at this. Look at it just fall right off of a cliff. And it says, finally, who benefits from no longer paying student loans? Everyone. So it goes like that. So anyway, I think now, let me get to my others. No one's on. Look, I think we need to look, if you're going to be interested in real estate, especially at residential real estate level, you have to look at the finance markets. And you have to look at markets outside of mortgages. Like, you do need to see what's going on in the credits. So like, if you have auto debt ballooning out of control, if you have credit card debt ballooning out of control, it only stands to reason that at some point your mortgages will be affected or the quality of them will be affected. And so that's why I pay attention to it. I don't think things are peachy. And I think that things are structurally broken in the United States. I don't see a new president, a new Congress. I don't see them fixing this problem. I see this problem having existed since Nixon, or maybe even earlier, and when they defaulted on the gold standard, and I just think that this is just papering over significant problems in the economy structurally, and at some point in time, we will find out how bad it is. And I don't relish that, by the way. And the other thing, let me say this. I'm not a prognosticator. I can't tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm not even sure what time I'll get up tomorrow morning. But I'm looking at things in the context of this is what I see today. I'm not predicting that in 6 months there's going to be a recession. We don't know. And the reason why I'm telling you this is when I was in Detroit, we were watching the economy kind of just throw up on itself, and while it did that, it didn't break down in the way you thought. Like, so the Chrysler bonds for their debt, those were not given priority status. The lien holders were not given priority status in the bankruptcy, which is just doesn't ever happen. There were companies specifically set up, like I think it was Annaly Capital Management or something, set up specifically for a situation like it was, and they just the government bailed out all the people with the mortgages. It was just crazy stuff happening. And so while you can say, hey, I think things are going to go poorly, you don't exactly know how they're going to go poorly, at least in my opinion. So like what specifically? So I don't want you to think like, as we go on for my program through the years, I don't want like, if I say I predicted it, yes, but it's not like a Nostradamus prediction. It's not like, it's not something you should take to the bank tomorrow, because I don't live that way. I don't think that way. If there were things to see, okay, in the economy that were like silver linings and a reason to believe that things aren't bad or getting bad, I would say those two. And I hope to be through the economic cycle enough times in my career that we can do that. Okay, now the next article may be paywalled. So don't make fun of me if it is paywalled on me. It's from the Wall Street Journal. I'm just going to look. Okay. Not paywalled yet. Now, it may do of our show, and fine. Let's go through this. I'm not going to read word by word, I don't think. But this is what, as an agent, I was worried about with my buyers, and this is what I refused to. I refused to be the agent that did this, okay? And it probably cost me money. It says, these people rushed to buy homes during COVID, now they regret it. The hot real estate markets across the U.S. led to a number of buyers snapping up homes without performing due diligence. Yes, and I was loath to do that with my clients. I refused. I did not waive inspection contingencies for any deal. I may not have gotten any of those deals for my buyers, but I refused to waive inspection contingencies. I believe even when I was listing homes, if I had two offers and they were for the same price, one had an inspection, like they could just go through and say yes or no, and another one was like, no, we'll just take it. I often told my sellers, look, let them inspect the property. At least they can feel better about it. Because without inspections, you have no idea. Look, it's hard, even if you have inspections, it's hard enough to get a good property. I mean, to see everything. Let's continue. It says, Stella Guan spent months searching for a home to buy, getting outbid again and again in the white-hot real estate market of Los Angeles suburbs. Finally, her offer on a beautiful Santa Clarita house was accepted in August. The graphic designer, 30 years old, paid roughly $600,000 for the house, but after sleeping there for only a few nights, she had an unfortunate realization. It was like, I hate this house. I hate this house so much. So looking back on it, she said, I should have seen all the warning signs, but the pandemic housing fever got the better of me. Okay, look. As a real estate agent, especially representing buyers, my biggest concern would be, as a real estate agent, putting people in houses or telling them to live in houses that are terrible. And you may say, well, John, no real estate agent would ever do that. That's dumb. You have to understand real estate agents are greedy, okay? They want to eat. So they want to get you in the house as fast as possible, for the most part. Now, it doesn't sound nice, Okay, but that's kind of reality. And so I did not follow that trend. There's a lot of real estate agents don't know what the hell they're doing. I don't understand our business and but look, they don't know what the hell they're doing, but people keep using them. So, but it was obvious that it was a mania in the sense that everything was being written as the world was never going to go back to normal. And in some ways it didn't go back to normal, but the normal that it went back to was closer to what it was when we left it. It says a house, unlike expensive jewelry or clothing, can't be returned if the buyers are unhappy with it. So a cardinal rule of home buying is if you don't rush into a purchase. That's true. But in 2020, millions of Americans did just that. I don't know. As an example, I have a new set of buyers, and they've probably been looking at houses for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. They don't have everything figured out yet, but we're going to figure it out over time. Might take a month and a half, but they'll be the most educated buyers there are, and they won't rush into house purchases. I can tell you right now they're going to be pleased with the house they buy because I'm going to show them all kinds of tricks and tips to not regret the home that you purchased. It says, fleeing small apartments, buying vacation homes, or simply looking for a change of scenery amid the crushing boarding of lockdowns, people scrambled to buy houses amid the pandemic, spurring bidding wars and supercharging real estate markets across the country. Now many are discovering the pitfalls of these hasty purchases, ranging from buyer's remorse and financial strain to damage caused by unexpected problems. Now let me just put this out. So fleeing small apartments during COVID, great plan, right? Get out from around so many people. Get in your own space. Buying vacation homes during COVID, okay, you were doing that to take advantage of the interest rates. Or simply looking for a change of scenery amid the crushing boredom. That's fine. No issues there. The spring especially, people were so panicked, said Priscilla Holloway, a Douglas Eielman agent in the Hamptons, so not exactly South St. Louis. A popular spot for New Yorkers seeking refuge from the pandemic. Buying a home is a huge commitment. You have to be thorough, but people were getting all crazy and they weren't as thorough as they usually are. Well, whose fault is that? Is it the agent's fault that your buyers were not thorough as they should be? Or is it your buyer's fault because they said, look, if you can't get me this house, I will find a buyer's agent that will? It says many home buyers were apartment dwellers looking for larger spaces to shelter. Nothing problem. Nothing problem with me. It says it was a land grab for houses, says Cheryl Eisen, CEO of interior design and property marketing firm Interior Marketing Group. People wanted out of apartments. I don't know why she's talking. She's not a real estate agent. At the same time, inventory dropped as many homeowners hesitated to list their properties in the pandemic. The result was that much of the country saw a price spike in bidding wars, leaving buyers with little to choose from. In these conditions, many are tempted to waive inspections or skip other due diligence that they would normally perform before buying a home. Yes, true. However, that's not what you should have done. Do you see the distinction? Look, just because somebody else buys a house for a stupid number doesn't mean that you have to too. And then you could say, well, John, then we won't get a house. Well, then that's right. You won't get a house. But nothing lasts forever. I'm going to die someday. You're going to die someday. We're only on this earth for a certain amount of time. If you think that the housing market was going to be like it was, I mean, I've been in the market for many, many years, a decade or more. That was like, I've never seen anything like it. And people that had been doing real estate since the 80s had never seen anything like it. So do you think it was going to stay that way? No. It says Miss Holloway said she helped a family move this summer after discovering that the Hamptons house they had just bought had an infestation of wasps in the backyard. The family didn't find the wasps until after closing because they had waived the inspection in the midst of a bidding war, said Mrs. Holloway, who wasn't representing them at the time. Deciding that the property was unsafe for their young children, they immediately put the West Hampton beach home on the market. Miss Holloway and a colleague helped them find another house to buy. Now look, I'm not criticizing anyone. You had a wasp infection that was so bad, a wasp infestation, that you couldn't just get the wasps killed. You had to move out of the house into a different house. And then my question would be, did you disclose the wasp infestation? So this is like, don't take this the wrong way. This is different thinking from how I do my business. It's a different way of thinking. I would never, like, I would just get an exterminator out there and just, we would get rid of all the wasps. We wouldn't go buy another house. And like, if I'm an agent and say I have a listing appointment with these people and they say, John, we really want to move because of the wasps, I would say, why don't you just get the wasp offed? Like, call an exterminator. Be done with this. It seems like these people were like, oh, no, well, you know what? You got to get out of this house. You need to buy another one. You're already going to get hit hard for your purchase price, but let's go and do it again. Over the past 2 years, the insurance company Chubb has seen large non-weather related losses increase in frequency and severity, according to Fran O'Brien, Division President of Chubb North American Personal Risk Services. She attributed these losses in part to hasty home purchase buyers moving from a small city apartment to a large home in a rural area, maybe not well versed in how to prevent the pipes from freezing, for example. Okay, well, I'll take that, but I'll also say this. There is real estate in the marketplace that you shouldn't be buying. Like, fix and flips are never a good idea to buy. You never want to be the first person in because you never know the problem and you get fixing it again. Now, what happens in St. Louis, or what I do in St. Louis, is you have people buy a house and all of a sudden, like, somebody put in a new bathroom and then the new bathroom started sagging or something. And so you call your insurance company to bail you out of the problem that you really, really have. That's no good. You shouldn't have bought the house in the first place for what you paid. And that's the other issue, is like, what is the price you paid versus what the property needs? These are things you should be thinking about all the time, not just during a pandemic. It says, people are moving to places they don't know a lot about. They're thinking, this looks like a nice place to live for amenities that it might have. They don't understand what risk there could be with that particular home. Emphasize particular on my part. I put it in there. It wasn't in the article. People are even more likely to overlook these risks when they're in a hurry to snap up a home before someone else does. You run in this lack of awareness and lack of time, which is not a good combination. No, we've been taught, we have this instinct, okay? And that instinct is we must not lose. We are going to be the ones that, this is a competition, and we're going to win this house from someone else. I mean, it doesn't matter if we go into debt forever for the rest of our lives. It doesn't matter if we buy this dumbest house ever for us. We will have beat some other buyer to buy this home, and therefore we are superior. We are showing our dominance. A home advisor report found that Americans did an average of 1.2 emergency home repairs in 2020, up from 0.4 in 2019, while emergency home spending jumped to an average of $1,640, up from $124 in the 2019 average. That's a very strange situation. Here we go. Look at this. I want you to know, because we have this. I've often told this story about my only time that I had a buyer back out of a deal when I was representing them. It was actually for the same thing. Let's go over it. It said, nature had an unpleasant surprise in store for Richard and Megan Weiss when they bought their first home in Northern California after moving from Brooklyn. When COVID hit, the couple left their Brooklyn apartment to stay with Mrs. Weiss' parents in Sonoma, California. Miss Weiss was pregnant, and they had a toddler at the time. Being cooped in an apartment, not being able to see people in New York sounded like a miserable existence, said Mr. Weiss, who works in commercial real estate. Man. After a few months, they decided to relocate permanently to the Bay Area, where Ms. Weiss grew up, and started looking for a home to buy. They found the market to be super duper competitive. They were outbid on one house and backed out of a contract on another when they found it had serious foundation issues. Very reasonable to do. Especially, that's why you have the inspection process, okay? And I'm a little bit concerned this guy is a commercial real estate agent and can't figure out how to buy a house. Finally, they were able to buy a 4-bedroom house they loved in the East Bay, paying about $100,000 over the $1.8 million asking price to beat out another bidder. Now, look. Again, like, you have to understand, the world is not, I'm not living in these people's worlds. I can't afford a $1.4 million house. And for this guy at age 40 to be able to do too, and his wife isn't even working, and his wife's parents live in Sonoma, California. These are not my people, okay? So we were a little bit over eager because we'd been burned twice. We probably didn't do the due diligence we should have and looked at everything as thoroughly as we possibly should have. Well, didn't you hire an inspector? I mean, I just don't get it. They closed on the Hillside house in November. When they returned a few weeks later to move in, we see all these holes in the siding. Mr. Weiss said, on closer inspection, they found that the wood on one side of the house was absolutely devastated with 90 holes in it. It turned out that the culprits were acorn woodpeckers living in the large oak trees surrounding the house. Come to find out it's a systemic problem in the neighborhood. I don't know that they were woodpeckers, but I was in this house. My buyers wanted to buy it. We looked through the house. It looked great. On inspection, the inspector went into the attic and there were all these holes in the wood. And the only way to get those holes fixed was to take off the siding and redo it all. And it was going to be very, very expensive. And it wasn't something that my buyers were going to do. And it wasn't something that the sellers were going to fix. And so we left that contract. It's the only time I've ever left a deal as a buyer's agent. And it hurt, but that's what we did. So it said, the seller hadn't said anything about the birds, he said, and coming from Brooklyn, his wife didn't know to ask. Now, this makes us wonder, like, was this house not listed? Were there no disclosures? Since then, they've tried various deterrent devices and consulted with exterminators, but the only permanent solution is to replace the home's wooden siding with cement at a cost of $150,000. Now, look, they're paying $1.84 million on this house. The cement siding, I suspect they're talking about like Hardy Backer or Hardy Board. I've seen, like in Ann Arbor, Michigan, I saw birds eating through that. So anyway, I don't know that it's going to be an issue. It says, if it weren't for the frothy pandemic market, Mr. Weiss believed they would have discovered the problem before closing. I think we would have been slower and more thoughtful and more methodical, but buying a home becomes emotional because we were emotional from losing the first two in the competitiveness. We just kind of dropped our level of diligence and plowed through. Yes. Yes. And you should have known that as a commercial agent not to do that. And even then, like, I don't understand. Like, I feel like you thought you were getting a deal from a private seller and tried to take advantage of them. And then it turns out they kind of took advantage of you. It's the way it sounds. Ms. Guam started bidding on a house in the LA suburbs even before she moved there from New York City in July. She had a good experience with her first home purchase, a New Jersey condo, and with interest rates low, she was eager to jump in the California market. I thought it was going to be the same as New Jersey. I'll enjoy the ownership and make money in a few years. But she arrived in LA to find the most insane market I've ever seen. Every house seemed to get 15 or 16 offers and sell for $100,000 over its asking price. Her offer was eventually accepted on a circa 1975 house with a renovated house in Santa Clara. At that point, she'd been outbid on 7 other houses, she said, so she was determined to get this one, even in the inspection revealed toxic black mold and asbestos. The asbestos thing's kind of interesting. Toxic black mold, no. Depending on where it is and all that. I was really trying to get out of where I lived. I spent 5 to 6 months looking. All these factors made me say, okay, I just have to face that. I can't back out. She sold the house a few months after buying, and after repairs, agents, fees, and transaction costs, she said, I lost a lot of money. She now lives in a rented studio in LA's Koreatown, where she said she's much happier. It still hurts, but it's just good to have my money back and move on to other things and never see that house again. Wow. Thank you, people who listen to my show and watch it. Apparently my Wi-Fi is bad because it's doing something. I'm going to do this. Who knew? Oh my God. Oh my God. What a mess. Okay. Sorry about that. Oh my God. I got a bad feeling about this broadcast tonight, eh? Doesn't look like it's going to be great. But I'll fix it. I have a plan. Oh my God. All right, we got it. I'm so it's bad. I'm gonna have to fix that tomorrow. I don't know why tonight. Anyway, we're gonna do it this way. It might be a little bit more rocky than I'm normally, but we'll keep going. So, no, I did that. So anyway, just bottom line there. Look, it seems weird to say like you need to have a relationship with your real estate agent. You need to be able to tell them like what you're worried about, your concerns, how you think, all these things, and you should express that to your real estate agent, and then pray and hope that real estate agent cares about you and wants you to have a happy home. Don't cut corners. Don't cut corners in any way on finding an agent. Don't cut corners in, if something looks bad on an inspection report, it's not going to get better because you bought it. That's what I have to say about that. I'm sorry about the way it's set up. Let's move on. This is good tonight. Okay, so tomorrow, tomorrow I will fix it. Okay? I promise. This is low. Housing starts at a 31-month low in January, down 21% year over year. Tends to be a leading indicator for the economy. Recessionary signals outside of employment continue to build. You can see right here in 2009, there's the housing starts. These are the shaded areas of recession. We saw a big one here in 1982-ish. So keep that in mind. Lance Lambert. It's going to... I'm so sorry. Try something. We might, look, when it goes here, I'm going to try and go to every single one of them. And then hopefully not right other ones to be, but it should fix it for the future. Home price decline. Now, look, I'm just between you and me. I'm going to tell you this. I can't understand this chart because I can't understand the colors. I can't understand if this is what I'm supposed to be looking at, the blue, or if I'm supposed to be looking at the red. Not a criticism, but it says percentage of major housing market with positive or negative growth, month over month home price growth. So this is the percentage, okay? Like it was up to almost 100%. And all of a sudden it's down to like 20%. So I thought it was going to work, and it didn't. Adam Turman, CBS 100 cliff is looming for millions of Americans with 32 states set to slash food stamp benefits beginning in March, impacting more than 30 million people. Government rolling back COVID emergencies while savings bleed out, real wages negative, and student debt resuming. Again, no one can explain how growth and demand will sustain and not fall into a recession with all these government stimmies and savings exhausted. Real wage growth has been negative for nearly 2 years, less demand. Simple, it can't sustain unless more government stimulus or cheap debt, otherwise recession. And this is, I agree. This is where I'm at. More and more stimmy checks you take away, the worse and worse you get. This is a fellow out of Vancouver. One big developer has gone bust, another big name coming, yet on the residential side, it's off to the races. Multiple offers everywhere you look. Very strange market. Your guess is as good as mine. Very strange market to me as well. I will navigate it because I have no choice, but it's strange. I mean, I was at some houses last week and multiple offers all the time. And they didn't warrant it, but whatever. There you go. This is a tweet. This is a quote from Daniel D. Booth, but it's interesting. It says, puzzled they are. As a former insider, I can vouch for the sincerity of Flomex Masses. Nothing in research published today mentioned 2 years of forbearance given after these asinine debts were piled onto household balance sheets. Of course they're delinquent. It says the fact that more borrowers are missing their payments, particularly when economic conditions appear strong overall, is somewhat of a puzzle. I can't compete with the New York Fed. You should all follow Mashega, who's been reporting this stuff. But it's funny because what he's saying is the guy at the Fed is like, I don't understand why more borrowers are missing their payments. It's because he's an idiot. He doesn't realize that there's all this stimulus that's being given to these people, and now it's starting to run out. Plus, prices are getting higher. It's more expensive. This is John Wake. I thought this was interesting. I don't know that I agree with it, but I thought it was worth pulling out. It says Congress had the opportunity to prevent 500,000 foreclosures in 2009, but didn't. And then on the congressional record, Senator Dick Durbin says, the bankruptcy code is set of laws for those who declare bankruptcy and those who go into it to try to restructure their debts and emerge from bankruptcy in a solid financial position. That's correct. When they go to court, virtually any secured asset that is a debt which has a security on the thing that is borrowed against can be restructured by the court. If it is a vacation home, a mortgage on a vacation home, a mortgage on a ranch or a farm, a secured debt on a boat, a car, things such as these can be restructured by the court to try to come down in terms that are affordable based on the reality of the income of the person filing bankruptcy. There is one exception to this. The court cannot restructure the mortgage on a primary residence. Of all the things we own, maybe the most important thing is our home, and the law specifically precludes the bankruptcy court from restructuring the mortgage. So facing bankruptcy, you go in with your mortgage in foreclosure, and yet the court says there's nothing we can do. We might be able to do something about your vacation home, your farm, or your ranch, but nothing about your home. So people end up having their homes foreclosed upon. Yes and no. Because there are laws throughout the country that you've got the Homestead Act, where in theory, like, you can't have your home taken away from you. It's like the one thing you can't have taken away from you. They could take your home, or they could take your cars, your boats, and everything else, but they couldn't take your family home. Anyway, more from Senator Durbin. Foreclosure, disastrous result for the family. They lose their home. It is a disastrous result for the neighborhood because every time a home goes into foreclosure, the neighbor's home values go down, and it's a disastrous result for the bank. Well, during the 2009 thing, we had a situation where appraisers were not supposed to be able to use foreclosures in their valuations, which didn't make any sense. That's what they said, so that's what we're going with. So it seemed to me the avoidance of foreclosure is a good thing for everyone involved, the homeowner, the people who can own property in the neighborhood, as well as the bank. The part about being disastrous, the neighbor's house's value is often overlooked. Well, yes, because like I said, I don't know that they did that too much. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Last tweet, new car prices just hit an all-time record in January, $47,443 of luxury. I cannot buy a new car. I cannot afford a new car, and therefore I will not buy a new car. It's hard enough for me. I don't want you to feel sorry for me. I'm going to try and get the screen back. Look, I don't want you to feel sorry for me because I can't buy a brand new car. It is what it is. Fix the Wi-Fi. I'll do it for in anticipation of tomorrow's live stream. Look, we've got some people coming over tomorrow night at the house. I think they're going to be noisy. I think they're going to be annoying. I don't know how the streaming is going to go. I'm going to try. But with that, I'm going to head on out. It's been a good night. I hope you enjoyed the program. If you did watch any of it, if you watched it tomorrow on replay, I appreciate it. Look, not everybody can stay up at 11 o'clock Central Time to watch a live stream. They got to go to work. They got to get up in the morning. Totally cool. Watch it on a replay. Put it on the background. You know, just enjoy. Just enjoy. That's my goal. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Good